While we wait for everyone to join, just wanted to point out that we have a chat function available. So throughout the webinar, if you have any questions, you can use the chat function, either post to everyone, or you can post your questions to individual specialists or to the hosts today as well. Right, I'll just wait another 30 seconds and then we'll kick off. Okay, welcome everybody. Today we're going to be doing a UK food and drink data reporting webinar. This session is being recorded, so if any of your colleagues are unable to join, you'll be able to find a recording available on the UK Food and Drink Pact members area. My name is Benji. I'm one of the business account managers. I'll be giving the welcome and providing a little overview of today's agenda. We've also got Ollie Bell, one of our senior analysts, who's going to be reviewing everyone's data this year. And he'll be talking through some of the changes to the data submission document and giving a guide through all the different tabs in the data sheet as well. And we're also joined by Rosie Bradshaw and Katie Cross, two of our specialists who will be here to answer any of your questions as well. So welcome everyone. If we can go to the next slide, please. So just to kick off with a little agenda for today. So I'll start with a little overview of the data submission process, a reminder of some of the key dates and what you need to be looking out for. We'll then go into some of the changes that we've put into this year's data capture sheet before following with some of the scope and definitions, and then running through table by table in the Excel document, all the different tabs in there. And then finally, we have a bit of time left over for some Q&A. And just a reminder, you can use the chat function to post any questions, either to everyone, or you can select in there as well to direct your questions just to the host today. Next slide, please. Right, so just to start with a little overview of the whole process. All of you should now have received your data capture sheets. These were sent out week commencing 24th of March. If you haven't received your data capture sheet, this is an Excel file. Please do get in touch with your business account manager or with our UK Food and Drink Pact delivery team, and we'll get that sent over to you right away. So signatories are required to collect data every year and submit that to RAP. As a reminder, we're looking at collecting your 2024 data this year. Once you've filled out the data capture sheets, please email the completed data capture sheet to your business account manager. You'll notice that the deadline is Friday the 13th. So for anyone who is superstitious, please make sure to get that data sheet in before the deadline. You can obviously send that through anytime once you finished it, and please do flag to us if you're having any trouble or if you're going to miss that deadline, so we can make arrangements as well. Once we receive your data sheets, they'll be reviewed by RAP, and we'll send over any queries that we have with the data, anything that's missing. We do ask members to review those queries in a timely fashion and get back to us with any of those queries right away. And then lastly, the data sheets will be signed off, ready for analysis. And just a reminder that anyone who doesn't submit a data sheet by the 13th of June, their data will not be included in the analysis. And I'll pass over to Ollie next for the subsequent slides.
Thanks, Benji. Yeah, nice to be on the call today to talk you through the key changes to the data capture sheet, and also just give a run through for all those who are new to the process this year. So yeah, looking at just starting with the key changes, there really aren't any major things to talk about, but what we do have in terms of food waste is an additional request for house businesses, we're now asking for the number of covers. So this is the person served in a specific period. And the idea behind this is to just align with other reporting initiatives that might measure food waste per number of covers. We've also added some further guidance around how to classify food converted into animal feed via insect-based processing. So we did include some guidance last year, but we've added some extra clarification this time just to add some detail and remove any confusion around that area. As for water, we've looked to streamline the sheet and we have removed one question there. And for GHG, in the target setting section of the sheet, we've added one question asking whether your GHG reduction targets are split into flag and non-flag. And again, the idea behind this is just to help guide you on which sections of the target setting sheet to complete, which Rosie will take us through a little later on. As for the meat in a net zero world questions, again, here we've streamlined the sheet again and removed 4 questions from the supply chain section. Okay, so looking at the scope and definitions for the data capture sheet, firstly, it's important to note that this sheet fully aligns with the WRI food loss and waste standard, and is a reminder that all post-farm food loss and waste is in scope and should be reported. And this includes things like coffee beans, cooking oils and fats, and then also spent grain from the brewing process as well. As I mentioned before, any food converted into animal feed through insect-based processing is classified as a food surplus and therefore should be reported under the animal feed destination. And then also another reminder that a few years ago now in 2021, the biomaterials guidance was updated to exclude all food loss and waste that's converted into fuel products, so things like biodiesel or biofuels. So these are now in scope and should be reported under the other waste management option. Okay, so on to the data capture sheet. First of all, we have company information, basic questions. We're just asking about you, your company, and a few contact details in case we do need to get in touch. Next, we have the scope of the food loss and waste inventory. First up on the screen there is the inventory period, like the start and end date for this. It's very important that this is a 12-month period. Ideally, it would be a calendar year, but also we accept other alternatives such as financial year as well. The important thing here is that this inventory period must follow on from your previous one, so there should be no gaps or overlaps. We also ask for information on the material type included within your inventory, so whether this is edible food waste and edible parts. And we also ask about the type of food that you handle as well. As you can see on screen there, the continent and country are already set in place. The scope of the UK Food and Drink Pact is UK only. And we'll also ask for the life cycle stages included as well. So the requirement is that Food and Drink Pact members report on their direct operations, so operations you own or control, and the type of sites, it might differ between various sectors. And also just to finish on this part of the scope anyway, we ask for info on subsidiary businesses. So for larger groups or organisations that might report on behalf of multiple businesses, if you could please list the registered names of all the businesses involved in the reporting. So just continuing on with the scope, we do ask for information on sites, and this is broken down into 3 different questions. So firstly, we'll ask for the total number of sites, and then the number of sites covered by your report, and then also finally the number of sites directly contributing data. So just to give a bit more context around these, the total number of sites, quite simply, is the number of sites within your operations within the UK. Number of sites covered, this figure might differ from the total number of sites if you have excluded some sites from your report. For example, franchise sites not in your control might be outside of your scope, or sites that handle very little food waste, for example, offices, you might not report on those either. As for number of sites contributing, again, this might differ if some sites haven't been able to provide data as part of the process. This might be due to a lack of systems in place or some general data gaps or other operational issues that meant certain sites weren't able to provide data. If some sites are excluded from the reporting or haven't contributed data, we'd encourage you to please provide clarification and also justification around this later on in the sheet. So after the sites, we do ask for the tons of food sold as intended, sometimes referred to as tons of food placed on the market. And this is provided in tons and not kilograms. And it's important, a very important figure for us as it enables us to calculate a business's food loss and waste percentage. Now, not all businesses can provide the tons of food sold, so we do give the opportunity in the row below to provide an alternative figure. This might be units sold or sales value, but just to note that if you do not provide the tons of food sold, you won't be able to have a food loss and waste percentage calculated for you. So on from that, we have the packaging weight. Again, we just ask, please exclude all packaging weight from tonnage values. This includes tons of food sold, food waste, and also the food surplus tonnage figures that you do provide. And then the final question as part of the scope is around whether losses of crops not yet ready for harvest are excluded from the values. And how you answer this depends on how you wish to define your scope. If pre-harvest losses are significant and can be accurately quantified, then you may wish to include these. But either way, you must clearly define this within your scope. Okay, so next we have the data summary section, and we're going to start by looking at the food sent to food waste destinations. So very simply, use the drop down to indicate whether you send food to a particular waste management route, and then provide the quantity of said food. And the standard unit here is tons, so please bear that in mind. There is also a notes section, which is currently off the screen there, but please add detail where possible to all of your waste management routes that you do use. Any important information or context that you feel could be useful for us when reviewing the sheet. This is encouraged for all signatories. And then at the bottom of the sheet, bottom of the screen there, you can see there's an option to provide the split of edible and inedible parts. If this estimate is known, we'd encourage you to please provide this information. If not, then not to worry, and you can leave this one blank. Here we have the data summary section continued, and this is for the other destinations or surplus destinations. And as you can see, it's the same layout as the food waste section. However, here we're focusing on the other destinations. So this is redistribution, animal feed, and also biomaterial processing. Again, same process, select from the drop-down, add your quantity, and then any notes where applicable. For the redistribution, I'd advise please review our guidance tab. This can provide additional help on what should be included or excluded from this section. In general, any food that's sold via discount in store, via staff shop, or via third-party apps, this should be excluded from redistribution. And to note that any food sold via those named destinations should also be included in the total food sold as intended figure, even if it's sold at discount. So again, as previously mentioned, any food converted into animal feed through insect-based processing, this should be reported under the animal feed destination, which you can see is just the second row of the surplus section there. And again, like the food waste destination, the surplus destination surplus section gives you the option of providing the splits of edible and inedible parts as well. Now we have the targets and actions section of the sheet. This is a mandatory section of the sheet, and we'll ask you to provide information about your food loss and waste reduction target, including your baseline and target year, your percentage reduction target. The best practice here is to align with SDG 12.3, so this is a 50% per capita reduction in food waste. So for many businesses, this would relate to a 50% reduction in food waste per tonnes of food handled. We also ask for information on your progress in reducing food loss and waste. This can be a quantitative response, for example, a percentage if available, but we'd also accept a qualitative response on your progress as well. And it gives you a chance to highlight any issues or significant barriers you might have been facing in reducing your food loss and waste. So the remaining questions cover information around your food loss and waste hotspots. And then also we've got actions that you might have taken to reduce food loss and waste, either in your own operations, collaborating with supply chain partners, but also supporting citizens, which does include staff as well, to reduce food loss and waste. Following this, we have the quantification methods and uncertainty section. Here we're looking for information on the data sources that you've used when combining your inventory, for example, waste management company data, and also guidance documents that you might have used to support your reporting, for example, any RAP-specific guidance that you found useful. At this stage, if you have accounted for any additional removal of water, again, there is a box provided for you to add details around that. And this might be relevant for those sending food waste to sewer or wastewater treatment, for example. If you have needed to scale your data or use a sample of sites to fill some gaps within your reporting, then please do specify that in this section as well. And as I mentioned before, any significant exclusions, for example, if certain sites haven't been included or provided data, then we'd encourage you to please include this information and also provide a justification as well. And then the last row here we have is for the data uncertainties. And here we'd just ask for a brief description of any uncertainty around your methodology or concerns with your data. And it's important to note here that you won't be marked down if there are any concerns you have. It's simply to be used as an opportunity for RAP to provide any further guidance if there are any specific issues that you may have. So next we have the assurance and declaration section. Again, this is a small section just asking whether you've formally audited your report inventory and if it's been subject to any internal data check-in. And would also ask that the report is based on the food loss and waste standard principles as well, with more information on this being able to be found in the Excel spreadsheet. And there's also a final question there asking for permissions around your data being uploaded to the Food Loss and Waste Atlas. So now we have the data sharing and reporting section to finish off the main data capture sheet. And this section here is for suppliers and manufacturers only, and it gives these businesses an option to give RAP permission to share their food waste and other environmental data with retailers should they request it. And the idea here is to essentially streamline this process. And it should be noted that RAP would only share these data if approached by the retailer, and also that the supplier has granted the correct permissions as well. So yeah, very simply, a series of drop-down boxes, please, and also if you could please confirm that you have sought the correct internal permissions as well. The final question at the bottom of the screen there is asking whether your business currently reports its food waste publicly as well. So this is just to help RAP understand whether Food and Drink Pact signatories are sharing their data publicly. It does not mean that RAP will publicly report your individual data, just to confirm that. Now we have the supplementary tab. This is an additional sheet with information closely linked to the main data capture sheet. Just some key points to pull out from this one. We do ask for your financial turnover for food operations, and this is simply to help classify your business into a large business or an SME. We'll also ask for information on a breakdown of sites by UK nation, and then also a breakdown of your redistribution via commercial or charitable means. And it's important to note that the two redistribution figures must sum to equal the total provided in the redistribution row on the previous sheet. Just to say that also further guidance can be found on the differences between discounted sales, staff sales, and commercial redistribution. So yeah, please review the guidance sheet for additional information around that. And finally there, we do also ask for the proportion of your food waste broken down by food category as well as a percentage. So next we have a short section on packaging data. This is specific to retailers, but other sectors are welcome to provide the data if available. Very simply asking for the tons of primary packaging and also the tons of single-use transit, also referred to as secondary and tertiary packaging placed on the market in the UK. And also to finish there, we're asking for a breakdown of food waste collected by UK nation as well. Now we're on to the water sheets. These water questions are designed to let us know about your targets, actions, and progress at tackling your business's water efficiency. So all the water questions are mandatory for all UK Food and Drink Pact signatories, and they all follow quite a similar structure. Essentially, please select from the drop-down menu indicating your progress, and then provide evidence in the supporting text box. And as you can see there on screen, there is some guidance within those free text box just to help you where needed. It should also be flagged that all the questions for water are qualitative at this time, and the sheet is broken down into 3 different sections. So firstly on screen we have the internal targets and actions section of the sheet, and then we'll move on to the supplier engagement and collective action before finishing with the data reporting capacity section. And also to note, with the data reporting capacity, this was previously targeted for all retailers only, but the decision was made to open this up to all signatories. So we'd encourage you to please select an option from all the drop-down menus, even if no action has been taken, as this lets us know how you are doing. So next up we have the GHG section, and I believe I'm going to hand over to Rosie for this one.
Hi, thanks, Ollie. I'll just share. Okay, 1 second. Ollie, could you let me know if you're seeing the data sheet?
That looks good, thank you.
Perfect. Grand. I'll hand back over to Ollie in terms of what's on there and going through, but I just wanted to point out a couple of changes to the conditional formatting so you know what to look out for and you know why we've done it. So one of the new additional questions is regarding whether any or all of your company GHG reduction targets have been separated out into flag and non-flag. If you select anything other than yes, we're just blurring out the flag one, so there's no popping data into the incorrect area. The other area where there's a bit of formatting is we've popped in highlights where you need to complete the rest of them. So if you add in your baseline year, for example, along that row, you also need to add in your target year, your percentage reduction target, and whether it's being validated by science-based target initiatives. These are just added in to give you a bit more guidance as to filling it out as completely and correctly as possible. Perfect. I think I should have stopped sharing there, and I can hand back to yourself, Ollie.
Thank you, Rosie. Please let me know if you can't see my screen, and we'll continue. I think you covered everything from this section of the sheet. Obviously, as Rosie said, the breakdown of the various targets by near-term and long-term, scope 1 and 2, and also scope 3 as well. And like Rosie said, please provide all the information you can where possible. And then the sheet just finishes off with a few questions around scope 3 hotspots, potential guidance used, and also some further actions to develop GHG reductions. Some are drop downs, some are free text questions as well. Moving on, we've got the scope 3 emissions calculations. In this section, we're asking what's included in your scope 3 emissions calculations. It's a simple drop down with the opportunity to provide notes on your methodology as well. And just a note with this section, this is to indicate whether a particular category is included in your emissions calculations, whereas actual emissions data will come later on in the sheet. So this is the scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions data section. As it says on the tin, very simply, it gives you an opportunity to provide your emissions data for both your baseline year and also your most recent reporting year as well. And we'd also ask you to please provide the time frame. By this we mean the single year in which most of the data falls within. Scope 3 section is very similar, follows the same structure. Again, baseline year and then most recent reporting year for your total scope 3 emissions. But this time we will also ask for your scope 3 emissions split by category as well for all 15 categories. So please just make sure that the sum of all the categories does equal your total scope 3 emissions when it comes to inputting those figures. And finally, we have the last slide, which is the Meeting a Net Zero World slide. Forgot to mention with the GHGs, that is also mandatory for all Pact signatories. For the Meeting a Net Zero World, this must be completed by all supporters that are Meeting a Net Zero World supporters. So please refer to a link on the tab itself if you're unsure. But otherwise, please just contact your account manager who will be able to confirm that. But also, if any signatories are not Meeting a Net Zero World supporters, but do work in the meat sector or handle meat products, then your responses to these questions are also welcomed as well. So a very similar structure to what we saw with the water sheet, all qualitative questions, some drop downs with free text boxes to provide further evidence where needed. So the meat sheet is split into 4 target areas. The first one on screen here is halving the amount of meat thrown away in the home. And then target area 2 is all about how businesses are taking action to reduce their own operational food waste, GHG emissions, and water impacts. Number 3, the focus here is around actions across the supply chain. As I mentioned at the start, this section has been streamlined with the removal of 4 questions. And then finally, the final section focuses on the sourcing of raw materials as well. Okay, so some final tips on completing the sheet. Again, please read the guidance tab and refer to any RAP guidance, sector-specific guidance where applicable. Hopefully all the information you'll need is there, but if you do have any further queries or more specific needs, then do contact your account manager for support on any of those. When it comes to submitting your sheet, please make sure that all the tabs have been completed where relevant and applicable. And also it should be noted that the format of the sheets is locked in place, so please try not to make any changes. If you do find any issues with the formatting or the functionality of the sheet, again, please contact your account manager and hopefully they'll be able to help solve that issue for you. If you would like to see any of your historical data submissions, please ask your account manager again, and then we can share those for reference as well. So just a quick summary before we go on to the Q&A. If you don't have a data cap sheet, please don't worry. We can provide the latest version, the 2024 data cap sheet for you. If you do have any problems with completing the sheets or any issues with your measuring or reporting, your account managers, again, are the first people to go to there. If you do have any specific data requests, these will be shared with the analysts or the specialists we do have at our disposal, and we'll try and help you as best we can. If you do have any issues with meeting the deadline or potential upcoming leave around the deadline, which might mean you won't be able to respond to queries, again, please flag these to your account manager as soon as possible so we can work to solve these issues before they happen. And a final reminder, as Benji said earlier, deadline is Friday the 13th of June. This is the same day as the UK Plastics Pact. So please submit, preferably before the deadline, but also on the day is fine as well. And once you've submitted, we'll send queries out as soon as we can. So please respond to these as soon as possible. We say within 2 weeks would be nice, but as always, the sooner the better. So yeah, happy to take some questions now. Any general questions around the reporting process, the data capture sheet? If you do have anything more specific or sensitive to your business, then directly to your account manager, and we can resolve these offline. Yeah, happy to take some more general questions now.
Oh, I can unmute myself there. Thanks, Ollie, and thanks to Rosie as well for that. I think we've got one question that I feel like is probably a more general one that a few people might have that I think is probably one for Ollie. So this is related to packaging data. Is that just required for retailers, or should it also be supplied by other businesses? Or if it is, does it lead to double counting if it's supplied by other businesses other than retailers? Ollie, are you able to answer that one?
So this is the packaging data on the supplementary sheet.
Yes.
Yeah. As I mentioned, this is mandatory for retailers, but it is optional for other businesses. In terms of whether it leads to double counting, it depends on how we process that data a little bit further down the line, but we do take into account packaging that does come from manufacturers as well as retailers as well. So if you do have the data, then yeah, please feel free to share it with us.
Great, thanks for that, Ollie. Yeah, I think there was one question that we will go back to via email, just because I want to check a few details before we go back to it. But I think that's probably it, unless anyone has any other kind of general questions. Fine if not. Have we got any more? Do we have a final slide, Ollie? Or was that the last slide? I think that was the last slide, wasn't it? Yes, that's absolutely fine then. Okay, yeah, so any other questions that we think kind of more specific, we will we'll make sure we come back to you shortly as soon as possible after the webinar. So I think that's all that's left to say really is just thanks very much to everyone thanks for the presenters and thanks everyone for coming. We really appreciate you taking the time to come and listen to this webinar and obviously engaging with the reporting process, and obviously your interest in attending this to make sure that we have submissions in on time and they be as accurate as possible. It really is helpful for us, and we really do appreciate you taking time to come to this session today. This session has been recorded and will be shared on the UK Food and Drink Pact signatory area. So if any of your colleagues want to watch it and weren't able to attend, we'll be circulating that soon by the business account managers and newsletter, etc. But apart from that, yeah, thanks everyone for attending. Bye.